Hey, Richard, how you doing?
Doing fine. You? Thank you.
Well, so far, so good. No complaints, you know. Let's see. Okay. Something like that. Just trying to get everything set up so I can see what's going on here. So you still down in Florida?
Down in Florida.
Okay.
Cold down here.
Yeah, well, it's a little chilly up here too. You know, it's winter time, you know. So, but you're down at.
Supposed to be cold.
Pardon?
I have sent to you 2 or more examples
Yeah,
of
you did.
painting with an undercoat and painting without an undercoat.
Okay.
Makes a big difference.
It does, doesn't it?
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the things I said pretty early on, and I think I keep saying it, is you got to get a little paint on there to paint, you know. So you can't be stingy with it. You got to just let it go on there.
I took a piece of painting book and drew a line across there, 3 lines or whatever.
Uh-huh.
On the left are the paints that had undercover, and on the right are the paints that did not have it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a tremendous amount of difference.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you know, getting a little paint on there is a good idea. So I'm putting my jacket on because it's a little chilly in here all of a sudden. I'm over at the Benson Center, so I'm in the studio and got one little heater that's kind of working, you know, just kind of every once in a while. Seems to be going on and off. You can't turn it on and just keep it on. It'll run for not even 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, and then it turns off. And then it will wait 3 minutes and cool down, and then it will come back on again. So
that's not satisfactory.
No, not if you want to stay warm. So, yeah, it's not doing much for that.
I'm always cold.
You're always cold?
Always. I wear 3 or 4 coats, jackets, and sweaters and things.
Yeah.
Line pants.
What?
It's just because I'm an old man.
That does tend to happen as you get older, you know, for whatever reason, you know.
How are things at the center, Charles?
Well, let's see. How are things at the center? Relatively quiet, you know, at this point. This morning was, you know, insane. Not that there were a lot of people here at the center, but I couldn't even get to the center. You know, it's like my phone started ringing around about 8:30. You know, and clearly everybody had been told the registration doesn't begin till 9.
Yes.
And so everybody was calling. It's like, you know, can you sign me up for the class? And I'm trying to get here. You know, I'm driving. And it's like, no, not right now. Yep. Call back after 9. You know.
Yep.
Like, gee, you know. But speaking of, you know, registration is pretty much over. You know, the classes, well, the first session for both drawing and for clay are full because there's only, you know, 5 spots anyway.
Yeah.
That wasn't hard to do. And then the second session, which starts on April I want to say April the 8th, and it goes to the 13th of May. I have 2 spots left in each of those. So.
Oh, I didn't know you could register for the second session.
Yeah, we're registering. Yeah, I mean, you register for both, at the very beginning. Yeah. No, we're not having another registration in the middle of,
Okay.
middle of the cycle. So.
I missed that.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got 2 spots in clay, and I've got 2 spots in the drawing. If you want to do on site. So.
Yeah, I had some problems in trying to register. It was giving me your classes were the 21st, which there are no classes, and a whole variety of other things.
Okay. How were you trying to register?
Just like you had told us, go in, access the site, and then register for courses. And maybe it was multiple courses over the week that I was trying to register for. But it looked like at one point I was having to register for every day of the course.
Yeah. Well, from what I understand, okay, and I mean, all of this happened really quickly, and basically what they came down to is they sent out that email, and they had the listing of the classes, and then what you were in theory supposed to do is this morning at 9 o'clock, you were supposed to contact the instructor because they're signing you up. So you would either send a text, an email, or a call, to the instructor for that course, and they would put your name down if they still had spaces available.
Yeah, that was not what I saw, but did anybody else?
You're on that new site, Gwen, the virtual or?
I think so.
Yeah, that was confusing on that site. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it was just.
That's the Benson site? The Benson?
Yeah, the new Benson site.
New one.
Mm-hmm.
The new one.
Okay.
And that showed you that's registration, and you had to do it for every day.
Yeah, it was a pain in the butt.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, it's crazy. So anyway, but yeah, if one of you want to come down here and, sit and draw on Fridays, hey, you're welcome. Let me know. From the 8th to the 13th. And I'll be happy to put your name down there. Or if you want to come down and play in the mud for a little while. So I'm actually looking forward to Fridays in the clay class again. I miss playing with clay.
I do too. But I can't free up the time to come play in the clay yet.
Yeah, there's it's just something. There's something fun about it. It's you can just do wild and crazy stuff with it, and
yeah,
you don't have to be too serious about it. So, not that you have to be serious about anything, really. So, wow, okay, so there's 8 of us here. Hey, so Veronica's here, Susan's here, Linda is here, Linda Lim. Richard is here, though he's still down in Florida, but chilly, because he's down by the beach. John is here, and I want to say, is that Bernice, the K?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
See, you're showing up, looking totally different there, that K, Cha.
Yeah, I need to change it.
Well, no, I mean, that's fine. I just, it's like,
Okay.
okay, I know who you are now. And then, and then there's me. So, okay. So, and Elsie's here. Okay.
Elsie
just came on. I'm waiting for a few people to show up because, before I jump into this. So, but yeah, it's been a kind of an interesting day.
Were there a lot of people in the dining room?
No. There were maybe 10. Saw Armando.
I figured he would be there, yes.
Yeah, I was actually sitting, I was talking to Ed and
Mercer.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he and his wife are here, and they came down for lunch. They had fish today, which was weird. It's like Tuesday. Okay.
Fish on Tuesday?
Yeah, I know. It was a baked fish. It was like, so yeah, I ended up having must have been leftover. It was kind of like pulled pork. Yeah.
Oh, I
Okay.
thought you were saying leftover fish.
No. I ended up having the leftover pulled pork because it looked better than the fish, but I can.
Yeah, I was there a little bit after noon.
Oh, you were?
and,
Okay.
I went to pick up the to-go meal, and I was deciding if I should come into the dining room or not, but wasn't up to it today, so
Yeah.
I got my frozen meal.
Oh, okay. You did the drive-through. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a deal. That's a good deal.
What do they do? Hand it out a window, or do they have somebody
They bring it out
handing it to you?
They go to the second entrance.
Yeah.
The entrance by the kitchen, and someone just comes out and hands it to you.
Yeah. They've already.
So you lower your window and they throw it in the car.
Yeah. They've basically got the meals already bagged up, and it's. I don't know whether it's frozen or just
These were frozen today. Yes.
Yeah. But
And how do they know what you want?
you don't have
no
choice.
Oh, it's a surprise.
Right.
Well, it's whatever they have in the meal. Yeah.
Yeah. Usually there used to be a menu. They didn't have a menu for that. They've got a menu now for the in dining, but they don't have a menu for
the frozen meals. Yeah.
But the frozen meals were like you'd buy in the supermarket, something frozen sections and the seal over it. And they gave me two, which I only asked for one.
Yeah.
And one was a barbecued chicken, and the other was a chicken au Provence.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Are
No,
they
no,
labeled, John?
Pardon?
Are they labeled?
Yeah, and they're packaged, frozen. You put them in the freezer or thaw them out, and you get two sides with it. The barbecue had baked beans and collard greens, and Provençal had rigatoni noodles and another green. I can't remember what it was now. And they give you a carton of milk.
Yeah.
And it's all free.
So John, what's the best part of the frozen meals?
Free.
That's right. They're absolutely free.
Free.
That's it.
Totally free.
Yeah. See, you don't have to dig around in your pocket, looking for those quarters and things like that. No, you just drive up, roll down your window. They hand you a meal or two. I asked them about that. I think they said that the maximum you can get per day is 3 meals.
Yeah, right. And I stuck my finger up for one.
Yeah.
And she brought 2. And
Yeah.
Well, depending on which country you are in, sticking up your fingers, they sometimes add the thumb. I took a group of.
I'm not going into that, Gwen.
Yeah, you might get all 5, or this
okay. I think it's time to maybe start talking about art then. Yeah, let's not. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the oddities of culture. There we go.
Right.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, there's 9 of us here total. Okay. And I'm going to jump in. We're going to start looking at some work. If we go through all that, I've got some more stuff to show you that I haven't gotten around to.
So you're in the classroom there?
I am. I'm sitting here at the studio in Benson, freezing when I took this off because
no heat.
I've got this little heater that we use for the model, but it's not running right. It runs for like 3 minutes and then it turns itself off and then it runs again. For about another 3 minutes and then it turns itself off. So yeah.
Well, tell them before you come back you want heat.
Yeah. We're gonna probably have to break down and get another heater in here. At any rate, so let's start looking at the work that you guys sent in, and we got a fair amount. So I'm probably going to start in an odd place today, just because I want to.
In the middle of the body, headless body.
Well, what I wanted to start with was someone who participates in the class on a regular basis has had a little milestone in their life.
Oh,
Somebody published a book,
Yay!
and her name would be Claudia Lang Pitts. Okay, everybody knows Claudia, right?
Hey, Claudia.
what
Yeah.
did she publish? I didn't know about this.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it just got released today or yesterday, okay, and it's called "The Soul of Our Family," and it's a book that she published, and it's kind of I guess about them. And okay, let's see. "Soul of Our Family" is a collection of prayers, praises, poems, and much more. It provides an insight into the African American family legacy. I'm gonna have to reduce you guys so I can read the rest of it. African American, family's legacy spanning generations. It's a template for families, friends, churches, organizations, or educational institutions that want to strengthen their relationships or build networks with people of similar values, interests, kinships, an example of how you can enlarge your circle or network of positive and valued relationships. The many passages provide encouragement, guidance, and words of wisdom to everyone who seeks it. And there's a little picture of the book right down here in the bottom. Probably needed to flatten the light out on it a little bit, but hey. And it's, what? Come back here. It went away. Anyway, it's available on Amazon, Walmart, and Barnes and Noble. So,
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
that's great. But she's not up here today to talk about it.
she might be around,
Okay.
a little bit later. So, yeah, but
That's
I wanted
great.
to start with that because that's, hey,
Yeah, I want to congratulate her.
yeah,
Yes.
it's like, while all of you are sitting there kind of thinking, I wonder how people are staying busy. Well, okay, so here's how she was staying busy. She's been she's been working on that book for almost 2 years now.
Oh, wow.
It's been a while.
That's not long to be working on a book though. That's not a really long time.
No, not really. But yeah, this thing has been kind of in the work for a long time, but yeah, you really got serious about it, about the time everything shut down with the pandemic. And figured, she's not doing anything else. We might as well get this done. So, and so there she went. And, I'm glad to see that, she got it finished and, it's out there in the world now. So
That's fantastic. That's great.
yeah, it is. All right. So then we have Miss Bernice watching. So in some of her drawings, okay. You might be familiar with the torso part. Now she cut off the feet and she cut off the head and the arm, kind of spanning out there. But, she's basically got the torso now. You're drawing in graphite, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I tried to rub it back with my fingers and make it shadier in some sides than others.
Right. Yeah. Softer. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any paper towels around the house like Viva, Gaudi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it might not be big, but I have some Bounty, I think.
Yeah. Just any kind of like, softer type paper towel.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like when you get to a stage of the drawing and, just take that paper towel, and just, roll it up, ball it up and rub, you don't have to scrub it like real hard,
Right.
but just kind of like rub it in a circle and,
Okay.
soften the drawing back. And
Okay.
what that will do is it will take a lot of the graphite that's on there that's not really adhered to the paper real tightly. And it will basically give you a tone, right? And then you can begin to lift out the lights and you would see more contrast, like where the light is hitting, versus, it being toned. But the nice thing is that, once you do that, it kind of gives all the skin tone an overall value. and then you can push and pull from there. And so really, you know, when I spend my first, say, you know, out of a 20 or 30-minute drawing, my first 5 minutes or so, you know, I'll draw and try to figure out, you know, the proportions and get everything just kind of roughly kind of laid in. And then that's where I'll take that paper towel and I'll begin to rub it back. You know, I might block in like one side for the shadow, one side for light real quickly, but kind of loosely. And then you just rub it all back until it's like real soft. But the nice thing about graphite, or, you know, even charcoal for that matter of fact, though, if you rub too hard on charcoal, you can make it totally go away. With graphite,
Okay.
it's probably not going to happen. You know, there's always going to be sort of this faint, you know, line where the original line was. And so, you know, it gives you an opportunity to build the drawing, you know, in layers. And
Should I have used a white colored pencil to make the whites whiter, make the lights lighter?
Yeah, you could. You could either use a color pencil. Actually, the thing that would probably work best, you know, if you're going to use graphite, is to work with a white pastel.
Okay, white pastel. Okay.
Yeah.
So the white pastel is not toxic.
Well, it is. You know, but what has it got in it? Well, actually, you know, somebody just told me, you know, because is that Rembrandt? Yeah, it was Bob actually. Yeah, it was Bob that told me that. I guess.
Well, I remember him saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, that all, you know, the pastel, you know, companies are making pastels like Rembrandt and stuff have all gone back in and taken out all the toxic material out of the pastels. So, I mean, I haven't bought pastels in 20 years, you know, so, you know, they may not be toxic at this point. That would be great if that was true.
It would be. You have to go out and reinvest, just like me.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
For Bernice, I don't know. I'm not the expert to be giving advice, but I've done what Charles said, the rubbing with the paper, and then I go in with a kneadable eraser for highlight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
I found the Mr. Clean sponges work wonderful.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just happened to have it in a mixed kit of graphite and watercolors, and I picked it up, and it works wonderful.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never tried.
Oh, incidentally, why does my paper look gray on screen rather than white as it is?
Well, because it's not really white in the first place. You know, I mean, it looks
it's
white.
lighter than that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it is the way the camera sees it, and so what you know, it looks like it's a fairly soft paper that's a little bit porous, and so it's not highly reflective, and your eye might see more of the light reflecting than the camera does.
Okay.
Now, did you shoot this indoors or you shoot it outdoors?
Indoors.
Yeah. And you see, if you want to, you know, make it look brighter, you're going to have to go outdoors.
Okay.
But when you go outdoors, don't get into direct sunlight. Actually be like in a shady spot.
Okay.
You know, with just, you know, kind of like not direct sunlight is all you're looking for. And there'll be plenty of light out there, you know, for, you know, your paper to look white, and you'll have more contrast than you have right now. But that's one of the problems with trying to shoot, you know, a photograph. Either using a camera or using a phone, doesn't really matter. If you're shooting it indoors, you know, I know we think that indoor light is fairly bright, but it's really not, you know. Even like your brightest room is probably only, you know, a third as bright as, you know, just normal everyday daylight. So, you know, you just don't have enough light there, you know, for the camera to really pick up, you know, how light things are. So, but, you know, as far as the drawing and, you know, what you've done as far as, you know, proportions, things like that, I wanted to point out to you, you know, the proportions here. If you look at this, you know, the upper body, you know, up around the chest and the shoulders and things looks much larger than the hips, right?
Oh,
And
yeah, they do. I see that now. I didn't see it then.
right. And the thing is, you know, they can't really be that way. And the reason it can't really be that way is that, first of all, her hips were closer to us.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she happens to be female, okay, you know, women tend to carry more of their weight in their hip than they do in their shoulders, right?
Okay.
Now, if it was a man, you know, that would be, you know, possibly, you know, more like
It's okay.
the way you
No,
grew.
no.
So, you know, keep that in mind. And something to think about, you know, particularly when you're drawing the female figure, kind of think of it as a pear shape, right? You know what a
Okay.
pear looks like, right? You know,
Yes.
skinny at the top, you know, wider at the bottom. Okay. And
Okay.
you can see that in the female torso, you know, it kind of like this would be kind of the top of the pear, and then it'd come down, it would flare out, and it'd be fuller, you know, across there. And you know, if she's not standing straight up and down, then you could put a fold in that pear shape, you know, so there'd be something, you know, kind of overlapping, and that's what these lines right here indicate, is that there's a compression there, right? Because, you know, she's not sitting straight up. She's actually laying back and kind of sunken in a little bit. And that's why you get this fold, you know, going across her abdomen right there. So, you know, so just somebody from Helen, Georgia, who just has to talk to me right now for some reason. You know, so just keep that in mind, you know, and really look at where the weight and the proportions are. And as you do that, you know, the proportion of the leg, because it's coming toward you, it's like, you know, it has to keep getting bigger, you know, than you've made it. Let me do this real quick. I know I have them here. Let me just stop sharing for a second. Okay, so there's that. Where'd you go? I've got those, and I just wanted to get them up so we could look at them, and we could take a look at her actual proportions. I can't get it to come up right now. Huh. Why not? Darn. Where are you?
You want one of us to send it to you?
No, I'm, you know, I'll have to open it back up again.
Okay.
It's just a pain.
I've been having several problems, computer problems today too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, mine is not so much computer problems, it's just, you know, organization. You know, it's like, you know, how do I get everything where I need it?
I know.
Not it. Let's see, 211, I guess. Yeah. Is that it? No. Well, yeah, okay, yeah. All right, so yeah, here they are. Let me open them up, and then we'll take a look at them. Here, see? Click down, she popped right up.
I can't see it.
Yeah, I know, I haven't shared it yet.
Okay.
But I'm getting there, I promise.
Well, at least you found them.
Yeah, you know, one button at a time. All right, there we go. All right, so yeah, let's take a look at her. Here, maybe we need to make it a little smaller. She's a little close. Okay, so Bernice.
I see. Yeah, her hips are way out there farther than mine. Mine almost.
Yeah, if you look at the distance, the width, you know, of the hip, like from here, you know, to say over here, you know, and you look and you measure that against, say, the width of the shoulder, right? And it's like the hips are really much longer. See, it's like her hip, if you start here, would end like way out here on her arm. See? And so yeah, she's got a lot more weight in the hip. And then you look at the size of, you know, that upper part of the leg, and, you know, it's pretty big, you know, and as it comes closer to us, you know, the calf and stuff like that look even larger. And we did a class a couple of weeks ago where we were talking about, you know, foreshortening and, you know, distorting, you know, intentionally pushing, you know, things and making them bigger. And this is one of those instances where, you know, you need to exaggerate things, make it bigger than you think you actually see it. Because chances are, if you do that, you'll probably get it close to, you know, really what it is. If you measure from the back of her heel to her toe, for example, you know, I mean, you know, that's almost like, you know, the full width, you know, of her shoulders right here. You know, it's because it's so much closer to us, right? Now, you didn't put the foot in there, you know, in your drawing, but I'm just showing you that as an example of the fact that, yeah, you got to kind of distort things and push them, because in reality, you know, and particularly in a pose like this where she's reclining and her head and her shoulders and everything are further away, her hips are kind of in the middle and her foot is, you know, kind of right there in front of you, you know, there's going to be this exaggeration, you know, in scale. And so we have to kind of push that to get that idea across in the drawing, okay?
Yeah, got it.
That's not what I want. Okay, so I'm going to leave these guys up. I'm sure I'll go back to them sometime, right? All right, so let's go back. There we go. Now, where did Bernice's drawing go? It's hiding down here somewhere. That's not it. That's not it. And that's not it. Ah, okay, there's one more. Go all the way down. There we go. Okay. So yeah, see, you know, if you take your hand and right there at the bottom of the hand, if you cover up the top part, it's like the hips and the legs all by themselves look fine, right? Okay. And if you cover up the legs and the hips, you know, right there below the hand, then the hand and the shoulders and the arm and everything look fine as well. See, so it's almost like it's two drawings because, you know, the proportions are out, you know, in the sense that the upper body is too big and, you know, this is too small in comparison to it, or vice versa. Okay. So proportions, be aware of the proportions. Now, in this particular case, all right, and this is where she had the hula hoop. Yeah. And the trick here really was in looking at the light and the shadow. Okay. And as far as, you know, your general proportions and shape, this was a little bit easier because she wasn't foreshortened. And so, you know, you're basically just working on the head, the shoulders, and the torso. And proportion wise, you know, all of that's working really nicely. Okay. And you began to put in some shading and stuff there. And you saw, you know, kind of where the light and shadow were. And you put it down, you softened it, you know, and rubbed it back a bit. And so, see, it has a much softer feel to it, you know, where before when you weren't rubbing it back, it kind of looked scratchy. You know, this doesn't look scratchy. And it looks like it could actually be part of the body. But basically all you've done, you know, so far is you've broken it down into really only two values. You've got light and you got shadow, but you don't have a lot of nuance in there right now. And,
Right.
and, you know, it just takes time, you know, building up those values, but, you know, always try to, at a minimum, okay, at a minimum, try to get three different, you know, values, right? You know, a dark, a middle, and a light. You know, and then if you can get more, then go for 5. All right, because remember, it takes a minimum of 5 values to turn form, right? And so, just having, a little bit of variation in there, could make it, feel like it's rounded and that it's going around the figure. And right now it doesn't really quite do that yet. With your line, your outlines, you're making some nice lines here. You've got a nice soft, a somewhat darker edge, but softer here. Here it kind of goes into a shadow or a tone, and then you brought the fold, across the
Oh,
abdomen.
see, that's what happened when I tried to rub it back. It went outside the line.
Well, it can, and that's fine.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But you see, this side's very soft, right?
Mhm.
And this side over here, is a little bit cleaner and sharper, right? We get this, nice kind of flow to the line here. And so you see it's giving you, a contrast, right? So it's not exactly the same on both. And that's, kind of what you're looking for, is you're looking for a little more variety in your line work. Yeah. Here is your, that woman's face. And, she had she's pretty, she's got her face is like really attractive. But, she has this kind of sad look to her, and it's just something, with the expression. And you captured a lot of that. You got that in the drawing, which is good.
It's recognizable as the lady.
Yeah. If you looked at the drawing and you looked at, the photograph, you would recognize, who it was drawn from.
Didn't look like her at all to me. I was like, wait a minute. So
Pardon?
Oh no, it's
maybe
recognizable.
maybe the lips,
Yeah, well, yeah, you kind of, okay, it's the proportions in her face,
Okay.
like her nose, you've lengthened out, and then you've given yourself like a really small space down here.
Okay.
And so it got a little bit crowded, and
Okay.
again, if we go back and we look, at the actual model, let's just go back and look at it real quick. Since they're up anyway, might as well. Okay. Layers and layers and layers of, where did they all go? Oh, okay. That's the one we want. It's hiding down there now. Okay.
Same one.
Yeah, but yeah, same. Well, but the right group. Okay, there she is. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
and she, proportionally, if you look at the size of her lips,
Mhm.
they are, they're that and her nose are really kind of the real dominant features in her face. And she's got some really nice, nicely shaped and very full lips. And, you drew that. It's just the scale of them, and, the fact she's got a little more distance. If you look here, she's what we call kind of a classic 1/3 proportion, because the distance from the chin to the bottom of the nose, and then from the bottom of the nose to the eyebrow is almost the same. And then from the eyebrow to, the forehead is, very close as well. She might be just a little bit longer in this middle section, but if it is, it's not by much. It's just a little slight variation there.
So the nose area is the largest 1/3.
Yeah. It's like 1/3 plus just a little tiny bit.
Yeah, the tip of her nose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but really from this point to here is really kind of equal to like from the brow ridge to the hairline. It's like this and this are the same size. This is very close to the same size, maybe just a little bit longer, not by much. So, and that's
she looking down, so I guess the top of her forehead should have come out farther on mine than it did. Shouldn't it? Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see.
Is she looking down?
Yeah. Well, her eyes.
I mean, downward cast eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I didn't know if she had her head tipped
Not,
forward or not.
not too much. Yeah. I mean, her head was not really tipped forward very much.
Okay.
You know, it was almost straight up and down, but her eyes are definitely, you know, downward cast. All right. So now let's see if we can find, where did it go? That's not it.
We're just looking at a black screen.
Oh, we have a
Yeah.
blank screen now? Oh, okay. Wow.
It says, it has the letters on it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it says Charles has started screen sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, but there's no, where is it?
Not anything being shared.
There it is.
Oh,
Okay.
there we go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So yeah. So it's like, yeah, this got a little bit long right in there. And that would have
Okay.
given you a little more space, and then that's just a little bit bigger than it really
Right.
is. But
Okay.
again, you know, it's those proportions, you know, looking at them. Okay. Where did the rest of them go? There we go. Okay. All right. So now we're on to John. And this is John's drawing of that very same, I'm assuming it's the same girl, right, John?
Yes, her other image.
Okay.
I critique myself as the same thing you said. I've got the nose too long and the mouth area too small.
Yeah. 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 Basically the proportion in here. Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, though, you know, she had this look to her, you know, like I said, it was this kind of sad sort of, you know,
Down.
look to it. Yeah.
Reflective.
Yeah. That, you know, you don't quite have, you know, in your drawing. Okay.
No.
So again, you know, it's kind of proportions, but yeah, it's kind of like it's the expression in the eyes, and also you've kind of changed the angle of the eyes, because she's kind of looking straight forward here in your,
Right.
yeah, where before, you know, she's kind of looking down to the side. So let's see. And then we have your seated figure. Okay. Now this one, you know, you did better. Okay. You see, you've exaggerated that foot and brought it forward. You know, the hips, you know, the shoulders, you know, seem to kind of sit back. You know, you probably could have pushed the hips a little bit more than you did. But still, you know, it still works and still moves backward. And it looks like, you know, you're trying to soften, you know, some of those, you know, tonal areas.
Right.
And you can either use a paper towel, you know, or you can use a like a stump, you know, which is that rolled paper.
Yeah, I
Or
do
the sponge.
I do use this. Yeah, I use a stump.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. You know, for me, you know, where I don't often use a stump, you know, but when I do, it's usually just to sort of work in like small little like detail areas. You know, for rubbing, you know, a drawing back, you know, I generally just use either a paper towel or my hand. You know, I don't have a problem with getting graphite all over my hand. You know, some people don't like it, and that's fine. But you know, just once you get your drawing established, you know, just taking a minute or two and really softening, rubbing the whole drawing back, and then going back in with the eraser, as you were, you know, suggesting before, is a good way of working. But you want to get that overall tone on there and begin to soften some of that up. And that will kind of soften your drawings quite a bit more. And then if you have to come back in and restate lines and things like that, it'll be a lot easier, you know, because you've knocked the rest of them back so they're not competing. Okay.
Okay.
And this, you know, actually, you know, again, you know, proportions, you know, the actual movement of the pose, things like that, you've got all of that there. And so, you know, that's good. Again, with the tone, you know, this is where, again, if you would have taken a paper towel, just kind of rubbed that whole thing back, softened it, and then just pulled out the lights, you know, you would have got a little more form in the drawing, and you know she would have felt like she had a little more weight and roundness in her. Okay, because just like with Bernice, you know, you saw the light, you saw the shadow, but you really didn't go any further.
Right.
And rubbing that drawing back will automatically give you a nice kind of overall tone that you can, you know, pull out light, and you can always build in, you know, more dark. And so you can get to that 5 value range that, you know, we're kind of looking for much more quickly that way. Okay.
So you go ahead and put the tone down and then rub out less in some areas than you do in other areas?
No, usually what I do is I'll make my, like I said, it's like the first 5 minutes, you know, so I might figure out where everything is, right? Just really loosely. And I know I'm not making any permanent lines at that point. You know, I'm just kind of exploring and finding out where things are. And then I'll, you know, maybe look for where the light and shadow are. And so, you know, I'll get to kind of like where this stage is right here. So, you know, you get a big block, you know, of shaded area for shadow. You get the rest of it that's just outline for light. Okay. And then you take a paper towel, you rub all that back, right, and soften it. And then, you know, once you've done that, now you've got a midtone, and you've got a midtone really all over your page. You still have an indication of shadow. You've lost all your highlights and lights. And so that's where you take a kneaded eraser, you know, just knock in your lights, and then you go back in and, you know, reinforce any of the strong lines. Say like the line down the back here, say, because it's attached to the shadow, you know, and it's really it's kind of the key to the whole movement of the figure. And so you might come back down and put a bolder line down to the knee, and then he's got a nice heavy line underneath showing weight and compression. So he doesn't really need to do much about that. And then when he rubbed it back, see, he softened this line already. So there's no way that these two are going to compete if you restate that. And then you get the line variety that you're looking for, you know, and you get some overall tone, and you get light, and you get shadow. And then really all I have to do is look for like a core shadow, you know, which was, in this case, it was like on her breast here, and it was, you know, in along, you know, the rib cage, right in there, down to the hip.
Yeah, right, it was.
Yeah. And there really wasn't much of a core shadow on the leg itself. You know, there was a little bit of tone, and there was really very little light on the top of this, but, you know, this was all shadow, you know, but not as strong as the hip. But there really wasn't any real core shadow there either. So, you know, again, just having a tone down there would have been closer, you know, to what was really going on. So
I have a question. John, did you change the pencil type to make the lines, or do you just use the pressure to darken and lighten the lines?
I use different pencils. I use 3B. What I use? A 3B and a HB and a regular B. So yeah,
Okay.
I do use a little bit harder sometimes, or the soft.
yeah.
Okay, I was changing pencil types too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just,
and usually if you have like, you know, two, I usually work with like one pencil and I work with a very soft pencil. But, you know, I'm a little more experienced in having kind of a lighter hand and just building up tone slowly. You know, but you can work with 2 or 3 pencils or 5 pencils or how many of you want. But if you're going to do that, you know, always start off with the harder pencil first. Okay.
Right.
It's going to make the lightest line, and then always, you know, put down your softest pencil and darkest pencil last.
so would 2B be the hard pencil?
Well, it depends on the range you're working in. But like in his case, it was an HB. That would have been the hardest.
HB.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just got 2B, 6, 4, and 8Bs.
Okay, so your hardest pencil would be the 2B.
Okay, that's what I had used to start. And then I came back and would darken with the others.
Yeah, yeah, like the 8 is the softest out of the ones.
Yeah, and it does nice dark shadows.
Yeah, yeah, because it's so soft. You know, it's going to take and really build up, you know, on that paper surface very quickly.
Okay, these are Derwents, and they were labeled light, you know, for the 2B, and I didn't know if I could trust that or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's going to, the graphite is going to appear to be lighter, you know, than the 8, you know, which is softer. Now,
Thank you.
yeah, since we're talking about graphite, you know, here's the thing I like about graphite. Here's the thing I hate about graphite. Okay. The thing I like about graphite is you can get a variety in it, and there's different grades and different qualities of it. There's very, very soft, very dark graphite. You know, that is really, it's almost like charcoal. You know, it gets everywhere. It's really messy, but it's beautiful to draw with. You just have to kind of be a little conscientious, you know, about, you know, how you're using it and how much, you know, pressure you put down on the paper.
Is that like the vine charcoal?
Well, no, it's a graphite.
The sticks.
Yeah, you can usually get it
Yeah.
in a stick. You can also get it in a pencil though. Like a 9B, or remember, you know, drawing here at Benson, and we had what we call ebony pencils, right?
Oh yeah, I love those ebonies. I've got some somewhere. I'll have to look.
Yeah, yeah, they're kind of really almost like silky smooth.
Yeah, they're
You know,
great.
yeah, but they're so soft and they can get so dark, you know, very quick. You know, if you put like really any pressure on them whatsoever, they're going to get like pretty dark pretty fast.
Right, especially on rougher paper.
Yeah, yeah. But so, you know, I mean, it's the beautiful thing is you can get a really nice range of value, and they can get quite dark. You know, the thing I don't like about graphite is
It's everywhere.
that, well, no, it's more where as you build up the graphite, you know, you got to be really careful, depending on the paper that you're working on, about how much pressure you put down or how fast you try to build up the graphite. If you're in a big hurry and you're pushing down on it really hard, you know, what you're going to do is you're going to close, you know, the weave of the paper, and it's going to start building up and getting like really kind of slick and shiny looking. And then all your paper is gone. You know, you're pretty much so done.
Yeah, I've had that happen where, yeah, it just all of a sudden it's shiny.
Yeah. And then it's like once you get to that point, you can't take a photograph of your drawing because, you know, you get this glare back off of the actual graphite, and it's really difficult to get a good image of it at that point.
So how do you get a picture of it when it's that dark and glossy? Do you have to go outside, or do you just shoot in a dark shadow area of your house?
Well, yeah, the simple answer is you can't. You know, it's like once you've closed the surface of the paper and it's gotten like really slick and shiny like that, it's almost,
yeah, it's too reflective.
Yeah, it's almost, you know, like too slick and too dark to even be able to photograph. Now, that being said, you can go out and buy, it's called a matte or a dulling spray, and you know, it's really like a fixative, and that's kind of how it works. Is it will fix the graphite to the surface, but it will also dull the shine down and raise the tooth of the paper back up again. so that, you know, there's less reflective glare on it, and then you can actually photograph it. But,
Okay, that's interesting. I'm
yeah,
taking an underwater photography course, and I was just trying to compare notes of doing dark diving and how you have to light it up with strobes and stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, with graphite pencil, you know, you got the problem of, like I said, you know, and it's really easy to do. You know, when you're sitting there working in a small area, just keep building it up, and before you know it, it's almost like a mirror. It's so reflective, and you know, and so slick there. So, you know, at that point, you know, then you gotta, like I said, maybe make a run to the art store and pick up, you know, spend $7, you know, to buy this stuff that they call dulling spray, you know, or a matte, you know, like a matte spray varnish would work.
So
That's-
hairspray doesn't work in that case.
No, hairspray won't help you at all in that case. You know, it will fix it.
Make a mess.
No, it will fix it, but yeah, it will still have that glossy, reflective, shiny surface on it. So, you know, so you're better off, you know, just using, you know, like a matte spray varnish, or, you know, go get that dulling spray. It's the same stuff, really.
Okay,
So,
I think I've got some of that somewhere.
yeah, you know, if you go buy the dulling spray, it's probably cheaper than the matte varnish. Okay. Let's see. Now, how am I going to? There we go. Okay. So there we go.
Is that mine? Yeah, it is.
Yes, that's Gwen Darby. Okay. All right. So yeah, here's Gwen's. All right, and this is the reclining figure, and you did pretty good at, you know, bringing up, you know, the distortion and bringing up the size of the foot, so that feels like.
Yeah, I like the foot she did.
Yeah.
Foot took some work.
Yeah.
Several
Well,
erasures.
Yeah. Well, it was a thing. It was sticking right there in your face, really.
It was.
You know, in that photo. And so, you know, the scale of things generally are pretty good. Now, the scale of your hand.
Yeah, the two hands are way the heck off.
Yeah, it's like you've got one really large one, and then one that's, you know,
Shrinking.
little shriveled. Yeah. And, you know, I looked at that several times, you know, because the forearm right here, you really almost didn't get one, you know, because really it's like, you know, from the distance from here to here,
It just comes right at you.
Yeah, well, but yeah, 2/3 of it was hand. And then only just a little tiny bit was actually arm that you could see, because the hand was in front of it. And so really the wrist that you have up here really could have ended about here.
Oh, okay.
And that would have all been hand right there.
Yeah, I was looking at John's hand too and how he handled it.
Yeah.
I knew I had messed up on my hands.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you did a rough indication that there is a hand there, and that's fine. But yeah, scale wise, you know, these are going to be fairly similar, because actually where this was on the hip and where that was on the chair, they were really almost as close to you, you know, as each other. You know, one was not particularly closer or further away. So,
okay.
You know, but
you know, given a few days since I worked on that, it really puts it more into perspective to wait and come back and look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I usually, you know, I'll work on a drawing like that, and I'll get it to where I'm happy with it, and then I'll leave it alone. And I'll come back in a couple of days and I'll look at it, and I'll be, you know, not so happy with it. And, you know, well, because by then it's kind of like I can see different things about it. And it's like, okay, yeah, something's off here. I need to go fix that. You know, now you made a kind of an interesting choice here, in the sense that, and it wasn't a bad choice. You know, you kind of emphasized, you know, this side of the figure instead of this side. And again, you know, it's a choice. You know, you kept all of this very soft and attached it to a shadow, which it was. But to me, you know, when I saw this, you know, I liked that curve right there, you know, and I emphasized, you know, the movement of this, you know, over this, because what was happening here is there was so much light, you know, hitting the edge of this. There really wasn't an outline, you know, on the outside of that arm. You know, there really wasn't an edge to it. It was just light against, you know, the darker background behind it. So there was a lot of contrast there, but there was no real hard edge. Where the hard edge, you know, seemed to be was, you know, really right against, you know, her up against, you know, the pillow and the fabric and stuff right there. So, but you know, in your case, you know, you chose to make a kind of a sharper outline on it, and it works. You know, I mean, it you know, there's definitely some variety across here, you know, but it really kind of emphasizes, you know, this area of the drawing as being kind of the focal point, because
Instead of the other side.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't move quite the same way, you know. You know, when you kind of think about it, you know, where her head is and the arc of the body, there's just this big, strong curve right here.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I guess I like the hips and her right shoulder and arm more. It just seemed to pop for me.
Yeah. Yeah, there were, you know, sharper edges to it, you know. Now, you know, if I were going to use a sharp line, you know, on the outside, I probably would have used a sharp line, but I wouldn't have made it as dark, right? Because really where I wanted the dark was over here, you know, in the shadow. So, but, you know, as you said, you know, what you saw and what really popped for you was, you know, this hip and this outline of the arm and the shoulder, because they were, you know, they are against a dark background.
A very dark background, yeah.
Yeah, so there was a lot of contrast there. Okay. But yeah, there's a couple different ways you could go at that and tackle it. So.
And I think I actually changed it as I worked on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I found she was too thick through the center. So I came back and delineated a little bit more on her waist.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can see something, you know, and, you know, in my drawing, I seem to
see yours.
Well,
see your drawing.
Yeah, I don't have mine up.
Oh, okay.
But in my drawing, and I've been doing this lately for some reason, it's like I either shorten the waist or I don't leave enough area, you know, between the collarbone and say the breast line. You know, I kind of compress this area or I compress this area for some reason, you know, in the drawings that I'm doing lately. You know, I'm becoming keenly aware of that, you know, and it's like, I need to spend more time really looking at that when I'm drawing them.
Your vision hasn't changed, has it?
Maybe, you know, maybe.
I would suspect that might be part of it.
Yeah, it might. You know, I'm getting older. Gee. All right. So, and so then we have this kneeling pose. And I think this was a 10-minute drawing, right? Yep, 10 minutes. So, you know, you got the figure in there. The thing is, with this, you know, the proportions are really way out, you know. Because she was really much longer, you know, down here in the bottom than she was, you know.
Yep.
So,
just way off.
Yeah, but you've got, well, it's the first drawing of the day. You know, that never happened, right?
No.
So, yeah, but you got the movement, you know, you got the curve here, and then, you know, out. You just needed, if you're going to keep the torso this long, that knee would have ended up down here.
Yeah.
So to get the length of the
yeah, it would have really changed it.
Yeah. Yep. Proportions. Now this is yours.
Warmed up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the pensive lady.
Yeah. And so yeah, this was I think this was the last drawing we did, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, because I think we did the two figures first and then we did her. Okay. And so, again, looking at the reference, and what the reference looked like, and kind of the mood and stuff of it, you got a good deal of that. You kind of did the same thing John did, where you kind of reposition the eyes and you don't really have them looking down. You got them kind of looking off to the right, but your proportions, between, say, the distance between the chin and the nose and the eyebrow,
I just checked it. It's a third.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you got those vertical proportions, pretty well. You've also got the proportions of the vertical to the width, and that's, pretty much so, what her face did.
Yeah, she had pretty strong cheekbones.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. Now, one thing that did happen that, you didn't quite get was it came down and then it kind of angled, and tapered here more.
Mm-hmm.
And so because you rounded it out a little bit, it gave her a little more weight down here in the lower part of her face than she had. But again, it's it's a 30-minute drawing. Overall, you probably could have either increased the sizes. Well, yeah, I probably would have made the eyes just a little bit wider.
Wider?
Wider, yes.
Not white, but wide. W-I-D?
W-I-D-E.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
wide. Yeah, and it's kind of hard to do, but if you measure like the width of one of the eyes, okay, and I'm measuring the one on the right, and then I measure that across, yeah, you've got about, a one eye's width between the two of them. Still would have kind of made them just a little bit bigger than you got it, maybe just.
Yeah. I've been, how you tell us to look at the mouth as a ball or an orb within the face. And I've been trying to do that, but also looking at the eye as a smaller orb within the skull area.
Yeah, because you can actually, well, here, let's do this. Hope we can find them. I hope we can get back to them again somehow. Let's see. Yeah, there she is. Okay. Yeah, if you look at the sizing, you can actually see, the round shape. And if you look at the width of her eye, and you look at the width of her mouth, the mouth is just a little tiny bit wider, than the eye. Yeah, the eyes are really pretty wide. Let's see, does she have like one? Let's see, measure there. Actually, she has less. She has less than one eye, distance between. Yeah, the corners of her eyes are a little bit closer than, one eye width. So.
So do you also look at the height of the eye, or do you go bottom of eyelid to eyebrow? How do you work with that?
Well, generally I don't look at the eye, I look at the eye socket. Okay. And so
you
really
look at where that ball it would have sat is sitting in the skull.
Yeah, so I'm looking for the brow ridge, which is really, right here at the, I usually use the top of the eyebrow. And then I measure down to really right in this area.
Okay, cheekbone, top of the cheekbone.
Right.
Where it starts curving back in.
Right, because you see that's that ball, that opening of the skull, and that ball sits right in there. And if I look at the distance, from say the bottom of the eyelid to here, it should be about the same distance as from, the inside corner of the eye to the outside corner.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it is a ball, right? It's not an egg, it's a ball. And
right. But then I know culturally that will change, where some people have just slits for eyes, and then
Well,
some have much more open eyes like she does.
yeah. Well, actually, what actually happens there is that it's the amount of muscle and tissue. Like for example, if you're talking about somebody who's got an Asian descent, Asian being like Southeast Asian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, something like that. They tend to have more skin, over the upper part, and it's called
Folds.
it's called an epicanic fold, and so it basically, it's not that they have a smaller eyelid. It's just that the eyelid is up under that fold, so you really don't see it. And in some cases, in extreme cases, like in Chinese and Japanese people, sometimes you don't see an eyelid at all, because it's totally hidden. And you just get, that epicanic fold sitting down there. You also see that in some Native American tribes as well,
Eskimos too.
Yeah, Eskimos and, usually like in the Southwest United States, and in certain parts of South America, like in like Peru, Chile, things like that, they get like that really, strong overhanging epicanic fold, and they look, very Asian almost in some ways.
So how do you draw that?
Well, it's, again, you can see the opening of the eye, but what you're looking for is you're looking for the eye socket, right? And even on like an eye of somebody from, Southeast Asia, you can still see that bottom connection between, the cheekbone and the opening, to the skull, which is really right in here. And so it's that same distance, here, and that's going to give you, again, kind of the width, or as the size.
Yeah, I guess we just haven't had a whole lot of practice drawing anyone, model wise, I know, but pictures I haven't gone and specifically tried to find people of like, the Aleut or Eskimo or Sami people.
Yeah. Well, like for example, okay, we got her face, right? Well, here, let's compare it to hers. Okay. Now, she's more, they're both Caucasians, but okay, if you, again, now she's got a little more skin, over her eye, and it kind of sits down on her eyelid a little bit more. But again, if you start from the bottom, of that brow ridge, and you go down, to the bottom of the eye socket, and again, you look at the distance in here, and then you check the width, and again, it's about the same. Okay. It's just that, her eyes tend to be, again, a little more narrow in there, so the opening isn't quite as wide, but the actual sphere of the eye, still kind of filling that same space. And you still, actually, with the lighting on her, you actually kind of see, the ball a little clearer.
Yeah, I can see that. And then the highlight goes back up under where she has either more fat or more skin, right under the end of the eyebrow on the left.
Yeah. Yeah, right in here. Yeah, as it's beginning to curve toward the light, you get this highlight right in here. See? And the reason it's sitting here instead of here is because this is the part that's kind of sticking out the most and catching the most light. And then as it curves, you see it's going back in, behind the bridge of the nose.
Yeah, so it's breaking more, it's breaking faster back into the dark.
Right. And so you see you're getting less light, as that curve, moves back in there. Okay.
And then much softer on the other side of the eye.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same thing happening. It's just not as abrupt, because you don't have that dark shadow, against it. Okay.
Yeah, what I meant was on the left eye, it's softer as it goes toward the other side, the other side of the face.
Yeah, because this is really kind of catching like full light. you know,
Yeah.
around that curve of the sphere. You know, just like this is catching full light, but it's got that bridge of the nose blocking it.
Yeah.
So
Back to the balls that we were looking at the other day and how the shade falls on them.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
the same thing is true here in the mouth. See, and again, you can see that orbit, you know, right in here. See, from this little, you know, this little bean shape right there, and over to here, and then right below the nose, and then, you know, it kind of sinks in below her chin a little bit, you know, but it's because her chin tends to sit on top of it. But
Yeah,
you know,
the whole teeth, you know, tend to the prognathism, as it's called, you know, the teeth push the mouth out.
yeah, because well, and yeah, that's why you want to think of it as a ball, you know, because it's a curved surface. You know, the upper teeth are curving back, and the lower teeth are curving, you know, downward, under. So,
and then I've worked with the other primates, and they have far more of it, their mouth coming out. So you have to, when you're drawing them, you have to really be careful not to put human features into them, but give them primate features.
Yeah, because you want to pull, all that out of there. Okay. Now the question is, how do I find those drawings again?
They keep disappearing on you.
Yeah, I mean, they're hiding.
They're gremlins in there.
Huh. Okay. I'll tell you what. Here, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it over again. We're gonna have to. We don't have a choice.
What? Draw them over again?
No, I'm gonna have to close it and then reopen them again so I can get them where I want them.
Okay.
Yeah. The problem with all this is that I've got way too much stuff open. There it is. And
I don't know what we're seeing on Richard's, whether that's the floor or the ceiling.
Yeah. Now, how do I get? This is weird because it's like a full screen. Okay, wait a minute. Preview. Okay. Something happened here. Let's here. Let's just quit preview. There we go. Okay. All right. So then I'll go back and I'll reopen those in that way. Hopefully I can get them back the way we want them, so we can finish looking at them. That would be nice. Let's see today. Starting with Bernice all the way down to Susan. Went back to the same thing. Huh. Okay. Well, we're back. Can everybody see this? The drawing?
No, I'm just seeing people.
Yeah, we don't see a share screen.
Oh. Okay. All right. How do I get out of this? Huh. All right. Quit that again. All right.
Is this your computer? Or is this the county's that you've got today?
No, this is my computer. Something, something weird
Gremlins
went on, when I was shifting everything around. I evidently hit something or whatever.
Yeah, I was doing some searching. I've got mine all messed up. I've got to restart it when this is over.
Let's see. Again. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure out, let's see, view. Thumbnails, yes. And always shows up. There we go. Okay. All right. Well, that's better. That's kind of where it was. All right.
We're still seeing people.
Yeah, I know. I haven't shared yet. I just figured it out, how to get it back to kind of where it was. So, okay, let's try it now. Ta-da! There we go.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh, okay, we got it.
Yay! Yes. you know, we'll figure it out eventually. It takes us a while sometimes. Okay, so, all right. Okay, so let's see. Then, oh, you sent this, you know, and this was from the PBS.
Oh yeah, yeah, the light, space, and
Right.
surface. They're doing a lot of art stuff at the end of each one of their programs the last few days.
Okay.
This one was very unusual.
Yeah. Well, you know, I went back, I found a couple emails from you. Okay. And I remember distinctly in one of them, there was a link, but I got this with the image, but there was no link to that actually, you know, that episode. So I'm gonna have to go look for it, you know, and it's called, you know, Light, Space, and Surface. So if I can,
Yeah, that's the show up in I think it was Fairfield, Massachusetts.
Okay. All right.
But it's a show, and they highlighted lots of pieces from within that show with the curator.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'll have to go look at that and see what we can find on it.
Yeah, it kind of exploded a lot of the ideas I had about, you know, how light reacted with surfaces, because they used a lot of very new kinds of surfaces going out into outer space.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, I'll look that up and, you know, I'll see if we can share that here. Is June Wang here?
Doesn't look like it.
Earth calling June. Okay. Well, I'll go through these real quick. So she sent in a bunch of drawings.
This is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. This was from 3 weeks ago, maybe.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know if, did you draw this, Gwen? Do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, I drew it. This is not mine, but
Right.
I drew it. Yeah.
Okay.
It was at least a couple, maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think about 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Yeah. Now this is the one from this last Friday. Okay. And so, yeah, she totally changed the mood of the drawing from, you know, from the actual photograph. And it's just got a whole totally different feel to it. You know?
It does.
Yeah.
Still is like she's more alert, thinking about things.
Yeah. Yeah. A little more contemplative. Yeah. But still, you know, I mean, a really nice drawing. It's, you know, got, you know, kind of a nice feel to it emotionally. This is her, you know, her figure. And see, you know, she really got the proportions down in this pretty well. You know, the weight, you know, of the legs, you know, versus the upper body. So she kind of nailed that one. And then she was really pretty good at, you know, pushing the exaggeration, you know, on, you know, this seated figure. And she probably went a little far, you know, as far as the head goes. She probably could have gotten it a little bit bigger. But, you know, again, it's got that sense of, you know, the feet coming towards you and the rest of the body moving back. So she did exaggerate it, you know, a fair amount.
And the hands are better than I
Well,
did.
yeah, she's pulled this one far forward, you know, of this one now, you know, in the size and the scale and where she put it on the leg. You know, in the actual reference, you know, it was really, you know, up here.
Yeah. It's funny how you can look at a drawing, you went, how did that creep forward?
Yeah. Yeah. And then these are from, again, about 3 weeks ago. Those were those Cahaba lilies. Yeah.
You did a nice job on those too.
Yeah. And then the lion. We've seen him before. Yeah. And then, of course, we don't know her. This is Shirley out at the park painting. So, and this is her dancer. And again, you know, she you know, she's really getting a lot better at, you know, her overall proportions. Right? She's also getting a little better at laying down, you know, values and tones as well. She's been working a lot on that. Now this is Rebecca. Okay. Rebecca is not here today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, her husband is you know, kind of going through some stuff right now. So she's, you know, she's taking care of him. But yeah, these are her drawings from Friday, the last two. And then Richard was here, and now this is a couple of paintings that Richard did. Richard, can you talk to us? You still here?
Yeah, it looks like the head.
Okay.
Looks like
He's
fun.
on mute. Richard, if you hear us, you're on mute.
Yeah. Let's see. Richard, where are you? There's John, Linda, Elsie.
There is Richard. Richard, you're on mute.
Richard? I see him. Okay. Yeah, unmute. Okay.
There we are.
There we go. Hey,
Hey,
Richard.
Richard.
Okay. Okay, so you want to tell us a little bit about your two characters here?
That's a takeoff on the University of Virginia, Virginia Tech. Their mascot is a turkey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And this is vaguely a turkey, I think.
Uh,
They're mostly a Valentine's gift for my wife.
oh, okay. That is true. It was, yeah, that was yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
That was yesterday.
So now, this looks like almost like watercolor. Is that what you were using?
That's watercolor, so I couldn't take anything else on the plane.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, watercolor travels nicely. They tend not to take it out of your bag and make you throw it away. If it's oil paint, you're not going to get it on there. But okay. So here's the thing, Richard. With watercolor, if you're trying to put light colors over dark colors, you know, you tend to get, you know, a lot of, you know, this stuff going on with the dark showing through. And with watercolor, usually you start with your light colors first and you work toward the dark. You always put down the darker colors last, okay? It's a little bit different way, you know, of working than working with like acrylic or oil. So it's always kind of in reverse because you're building toward the dark with watercolor. And so, you know, I probably would have started, you know, with the yellow and then, you know, put the black around it instead of, you know, trying to put this over it, okay? So just, you know, be aware of that, you know, that it is transparent. And then you were talking earlier to me, you know, when we first opened up the class about your color chart, and you were saying that toward the bottom here, you know, that didn't have any kind of a base coat, you know.
That's right. The top three have base coat of white, and the bottom have no base coat at all.
Oh, okay.
And I was impressed by how much more deeper the colors were on the base painting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What kind of base paint did you use, Richard?
White, just white color.
Yeah, it was white watercolor. It's what they call China white.
Oh, okay. I have not used that.
Yeah. So what you found is that, you know, if you had some kind of color down on the paper, that it actually sealed it. And so your color, the next passage set on top of, you know, what you had down there before. And so it made it look brighter and richer. And so where here it sank into the paper and it still looked really light. So,
Well said.
yeah. But that was kind of a fun, interesting experiment, wasn't it?
Just a fun piece to see what would happen.
Okay.
But the dark color, why did it kind of look beady? It look like the paper is not smooth or something.
Yeah, well, what happened is, this is in a sketch pad, and it's probably not watercolor paper, and it was wet, and, some paper doesn't like it, certain paper like bond paper just doesn't like to get wet. And once it gets wet,
Okay.
it begins to do what they call peel, P-E-E-L, where
Mm-hmm.
the layers of paper begin to roll up and kind of come off of it.
This was mixed media
Uh-huh.
paper.
Is it? Okay.
That's
But
what,
yeah, it looks like you were working really wet or you were scrubbing on it kind of hard because, yeah, you started picking up the paper like right here a little bit. Yeah. But I'm kind of surprised by how rich the color is, on these. But yeah, that's a good experiment. So how could you apply what you know now, to the process of, painting? Let's say that we wanted to paint your characters again, right? What would you do differently?
I would throw these away and start all over.
Okay. But okay, let's say you started all over again, all right? What would you do? What would you do different? Would you use the white, say, under like the orange and the red so that the reds and the colors were brighter?
Yeah.
Possibly.
The, the right one has undercolor and the other one doesn't.
Oh, okay. So the one on the right does have the color underneath it. Okay.
I think that's right.
Okay. Yeah. And the color
The
is
lesson,
stronger.
well, the lesson is to get some undercolor on anything you do.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Now, I'm not an expert watercolorist. Okay. But yeah, I know that watercolor, when I use it, I usually work with it very slowly, and I'll put and build it up in layers, to build up the density of the color. I've never tried putting white down first and then putting color over it. So
I hadn't either.
yeah, but next time I pick up watercolor, I might try it. Just kind of see what happens with it, because it's kind of an
Give it
interesting.
a go. It
Yeah.
was fun doing it.
Did you let the white dry, or did you work wet into wet?
I let the undercolor dry overnight.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was putting paint down, but because there was already paint, down, kind of sealing the surface, it kept the color from sinking into the paper.
Yeah. Although you could still probably build up any of those colors.
Yeah, you could probably go over them, a couple more times and really build up quite a bit of paint surface on there, so, without moving it too much. So, okay, all right.
It was fun.
That's interesting, Richard.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
And then last but not least, we have Miss Susan Adair. Okay.
Ooh, that's good.
And these are her drawings from this last Friday. So this is the 10-minute drawing. And if we look,
I didn't get very far.
pardon?
I didn't get very far, but
Well, let's see. Did you get very far? I'd say actually you got far enough. Okay.
You got a long way according to me. I just got a third of it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So let me make a comment about this, Susan. Okay. I want to congratulate you on having the most variety in your line work I've ever seen you put in a drawing.
Yay.
Yeah.
well, I was trying. I
Pardon?
was trying. I was
Yeah.
trying.
Yes, it shows. Okay. And you're getting it. Okay. Now, did you put in a lot of tone, stuff like that? No. Okay. And that's fine. But the fact is, this drawing looks like you were very conscientious about the types of lines that you were making. Okay. That's a big step forward. Okay. So congratulations on that one. Overall, your proportions, are not bad. Okay. Your like your legs down here could have been longer, like where to the kneecap right here. Could have maybe come down about, where the cursor is. And could have lengthened those out a little bit, but still, the way you've drawn it, it actually looks like she's more foreshortened, like you were kind of standing slightly over her, and that, her head and her shoulders were closer to us. So it's kind of like you're looking down on her a little bit, because of the proportions and the way they change. But still, I mean, it's a nice drawing. And I know you've never heard this before, but your line work still looks a lot like Egon Schiele's. So.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
But his
Thank you.
line work is wonderful. I love his work.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's a compliment. It really is.
Yes.
Now let's talk about your girl. Okay. Now, all right. So, did you get sort of the mood of what was going on there? No, but you definitely got a different kind of attitude, different kind of feeling to this. And regardless of what the actual reference was originally, this is still a really nice drawing. Okay. Because it's got a lot of emotional feeling to it. And even though it's not the same feeling as what the drawing was. Okay. And, you look at, basically the proportions, shapes, things like that. The proportion in the arm, is a little wonky, and there was more there. But again, because of the way you positioned her on a page, it's like you were trying to kind of squeeze her in a little bit. And in this case, I would have just let it go off, the side, not worried about it. Because really the focal point is really right here. And you've got, a really strong expression on her face. And in a way, it's kind of like you've stylized and simplified her face down, in a way. But it works, it works. It's still a really nice drawing. So
Thank you.
now the color pencil, okay, and particularly, and
I did it all. It was all in color pencil.
Okay, yeah, even the dark. Yeah, but the kind of brown or orange color down here, okay, for her clothes.
It's actually orange. It's coming out a little darker.
Yeah,
but
yeah. When you try to do something like that, and you're making, like strokes or lines, right?
I should have made it more solid. More solid.
I'm sorry, what?
I should have made it more solid instead of.
Well, yeah, you could build up the color, make it more solid. But what I was going to say, if you're going to make, kind of lineal strokes like that, okay, rather than just keep the same, everything the same direction, like in let's say the arm, right? See, if you would have kind of curved them and moved them around that, see, you could have emphasized the fact that that's kind of a rounded shape with the way that you laid the lines down, see? And then when you got down here, see, you could have kind of curved it the other way, and again, made that rounder, and kind of had a form to it. Instead, you made a lot of, parallel lines, and it kind of flattened the shape out, right? And so, as you're kind of filling in the color, try to think about, when you're shading, move with the form. Say, move around those shapes and forms if there's folds and things like that. Because in doing that, what it tells the viewer is, that this had volume, okay, and there were shapes, that were kind of folds and things in there, without having to draw lines, right? We looked at that the other day. There was a guy doing pen and ink, and how he was kind of curving the lines to bring it around the face. Kind of the same thing here. You don't have to move everything the same direction.
Okay.
So it's kind of like sculpting, you know, as you're drawing. And then we have this lovely lady who's sitting there lounging, you know. Now you got the whole drawing in. You got the background and everything. And again, you know, yes.
I tried, but
Well, you didn't try. You did, you know. Yeah, I mean, we know, you know, we know where this came from. It looks a lot like the original source. As far as, you know, resolving, you know, some of the issues with like foreshortening, things like that, you know, you pulled that off really kind of nicely. Let me see if I can move this more. There we go, so we can see it. Oh, okay, it wants to go back over. I don't know why. Here, I'll shrink us. Okay. But you definitely have the foot and the legs coming forward. You know, the hips kind of sit in the middle. The shoulders move back kind of nicely. And, you know, your scale and proportional overall work pretty nicely. Yeah, I'd actually say it's really one of the nicer drawings that you've done, you know. You know, all three of these, you know, are showing a lot of improvement, a lot of promise. Okay.
thank
She
you.
also looks like she got the lips as an orb within the skull and the eyes too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it reads as a face, and, you know, the body's doing what it needs to do. You know, the scale of the hands, you know, to each other and to the body, you know, tend to work. So, yeah. I think you did a pretty good job on it.
Yeah, good, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Now, this does not look like a Sheila drawing, though. Okay.
Okay.
You know, actually, you know, it reminds me of another artist, you know, that you'll probably have to look up, and that's a guy by the name of Toulouse-Lautrec. Have you ever?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you familiar with his work?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Go back and actually look at some of his drawings, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
a lot of his drawings, you know, feel similar to this. Okay.
Yeah, I'll try to do that this week. Okay.
Yeah. So you see, you know, Susan, you just keep channeling all these different artists. So, you know, one time she's Egon Schiele, this time she's Toulouse-Lautrec. So.
Well, I can see some Picasso like in this too.
Yeah, I kind of thought about that a little bit, but yeah, it kind of reminded me of Lautrec a little
I
bit.
used to really admire Picasso when I was much younger. In fact, I snuck into one of his art shows in New York when I was much younger. Yeah. Yeah, I got in on a senior citizen when I was in my 20s, but it was a senior citizen ticket.
Oh, you did good then.
Yeah.
You channel well.
Yeah.
We are influenced by what we look at.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, guess what? That's everything I got today.
Is it time?
Well, still, yeah.
Yeah, it's not far.
Okay.
It's not far, but you know, hey, you know, we can hang out here and be social for a minute if you want, but you know, but that's all the work that I've got. And it looks like a lot of people have slowly kind of slipped away. So we're down to 7. We started with 9.
But Charles, I've
okay.
actually found something else
You found something?
I want to draw, but I just haven't had a chance to do it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I found something. During the Torah study last week, the rabbi was talking about the Yale Crest, Yale University Crest.
Yeah.
And it's got Hebrew on
I didn't
it,
know
and
that.
I want to draw them.
I didn't realize that.
But I haven't started it yet. I just like a quick preview drawing of it, but I haven't really
Okay.
done the drawing yet. But
Okay.
I'm
Is that going to be your project? The
Yeah,
6-week project?
Yeah, is that going to be your project that's due on like the 28th or 29th of?
We have a project. I didn't know
Uh-oh,
we had.
uh-oh,
Yeah, I gave. Well, yeah,
the Thursday group.
yeah. Well, I gave everybody the project of, I want you to think about a long-term project, and somewhere around, I think it was around let me see what the date was. It's that last Friday class in the drawing class, or actually the last Thursday class. Let me see.
Maybe that's why, because I don't always get there on Thursdays. But it's the last one of the month. This month.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here.
Next
Okay,
month, isn't it?
Well, yeah. In March. Yeah.
Oh, in March. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So.
I can make that into my project because it might take me a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to surprise you.
Yeah. So it's it's actually March 31st. Okay. That would be the last class. Well, Friday is the last class. That's April 1st. That I have signed up for.
April Fool's Day. How appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. But on the 31st, that's our last sharing group. And so I gave everybody, basically the idea of, I want you to think about a long-term project, and try to have it complete by the 31st to share.
I have taken on one, and it's probably going to have to go in stages.
Mhm.
But my granddaughter will turn a year old on the 28th of March. And Kelly wants me to paint her in her, I don't know if it's Easter or Christmas outfit, but we're going to go through and do sketches and try different looks to it. So like I said, it'll probably be a progression of studies.
Okay.
And probably not completed by the end of March as a painting. And I just told her, I said, gee, Kelly, I haven't picked up the oil paint brush in 3 years.
Yeah.
So I said, we're going to have to go through and do different camera shots and, different drawings to see if we can get the right pose.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Okay. How much grandma time do you get, actually to spend with your granddaughter?
I have had a good bit in the past, but I've just taken on a new rescue, 62-pound dog that I'm having to babysit now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really trust the dog around the granddaughter right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because she's so small. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to suggest, because the last portrait that I did of a child, I found really helpful to, just, hang out, make observations, make quick little gestural sketches, maybe occasionally shoot a photo, but, don't stop them from doing what they're doing. Don't try to make them pose or anything like that. Because as soon as you do, they get this weird kind of look to them. But, and it, it probably took me close to 2 to 3 months, to really begin to get, like a really good, solid understanding of, like the structure of the face and the way they move and, things like that.
Was this one of your grandchildren?
No, this was a portrait of a little boy that I did.
Okay.
Yeah. And, I've told that horror story a few times.
Yeah, I think I may have heard it where the mother kept changing how she wanted him to look.
No.
Is that not the one?
Well, it's.
And he had a cat.
Yeah, in the end, yeah. She wasn't happy with the painting because I painted him the way he was as I got to know him. And, 6 months later, he's at
it was different.
Yeah, he was totally different. And so it's like, well, that doesn't look like him. Well, no, it doesn't look like him now. It looks like him then.
It's hard to make them change.
Yeah,
You just get a shot in time.
Yeah, the dad was perfectly happy and thrilled with painting. You know, the mother was never happy with it. But no, the issue I had was, you know, they would invite me over, you know, and we would sit and have coffee, and I'd just kind of keep an eye, you know, on the kid. But his behavior was really totally different, you know, when they were there. And eventually, you know, I got it to where it's like, okay, yeah, you guys need to kind of go away. And so I could just kind of see who he
The
was.
one-on-one time.
Yeah, because, you know, as long as I was there and they were there, he was kind of always like needy, you know, and wanting the attention, right?
Mhm.
As soon as they went away, you know, the dynamic totally changed. Then he was
Yeah.
fine, you know, and he'd just go off and play and, you know, do his thing, and we would kind of interact and everything was fine. And I was able to get a, you know, a much more accurate sense of who he was, personality was, and all. And, you know, it took several months, you know, which, you know, I would have never expected, but, you know, kids are hard, you know, they're tough.
Yeah, they can be.
Yeah.
They can be. I'll keep that in mind though, but I figured it's going to take a good bit of studies to get exactly what I want.
Yeah.
Even to get a good photo of her that I want to do something from.
Yeah. But it, you know, it's, you know, with like photographing them and stuff, you know, you got to kind of do it on the down low, because if they know you're taking pictures of them, then again, you know, they begin to kind of change their behavior.
Yeah, although she's quite used to not so much the cameras, but the cell phones that we use to snap pictures of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, this was a little before, you know, cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was actually a camera, and every time the camera came up, he was like, so. But, you know, I did find, you know, spending the time and just doing the studies and the drawings, even though a lot of them were just quick gestures and things like that.
Yeah.
Really helped kind of inform the painting process quite a bit, you know, because you do, it's like the more time you spend around them, you know, the more you begin to see, you know, sort of the subtleties in their face and things.
Mm-hmm.
But
I am in the process of oil painting my daughter, who lives in Florida.
Mhm.
She just had some headshots made.
Yeah.
And one of them I fell in love with, and it's oil, and I haven't done oil in a long time. So it's been trial and error in trying to remember.
Wow.
But I think it will be finished by the 30th of March.
Okay. Well,
unfortunately, I am moving.
you are?
Yes.
Where are you moving to?
It's called Brookdale, Shambrow, Roswell.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
not
it's-
like to Florida then.
No.
Okay.
No.
So
But
now this is like a senior living place that you're moving to?
yes, it is a place that has a continuum of care.
Mm-hmm.
Where I live now, we don't have that.
Okay.
This place has a continuum,
Mhm.
and when you get to that point,
Yeah, they transition
they
you.
will move you. Yeah. But in the meantime, I'm doing this project of
Okay.
my daughter, and boy, the mistakes I have made and had to do over.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, you know, I can encourage you in saying that, look, it's only paint. And the nice thing about oil paint is you can always put more paint on.
yes.
Okay.
I have a question on the
Yes.
size, Charles,
Well, hang on.
because
Yeah, Elsie, the other thing I wanted to point out to you was if you're having problems, okay, if you have questions or anything like that, You can always take a photograph of it and send it to me. And if you want, we'll talk about it during class.
Very
And
good.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of what these are for. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you.
not- yeah. It's not just about, something you have done, but if it's something that you're working on and you're looking for, maybe a little insight into what you need to work on, or, you have a specific problem that you want to solve, just ask. I mean,
Wanna go
I
for a walk?
definitely will.
okay. All right.
I'm taking off, everyone. Have a good one.
All right, John, you take
See
care.
y'all.
All right. Anybody else? All right. Well, I guess we're looking at somebody's ceiling. That must be Richard. All right. So I guess we're going to wrap it up for today. Anyway, thank you all for coming. And we will be back here tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, right? No? Okay. All right. I'll talk to everybody later. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.